Hello and welcome to How to Be Engaged in Your Community. I'm Garrett, and with me is Maddie Quigley.
So we wanted to do this presentation, especially for the SAB, since it is an organization with people from all different areas in your community. You want to make sure that not only are you guys coming together, but you're also branching out and reaching out to your community. So the importance of community outreach is it allows for SAB leaders to educate, socially organize events, and support activities in your area. And it brings the chapter leaders in your area together, and it allows for relationships to form, and it naturally allows for networking to occur. And this is super important because if you need help with a certain event and you know that an organization in your area completed something similar, you can definitely reach out to them for resources. And it just creates a great community of help and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. And one form of way of community outreach is a website. For example, the Houston Student Advisory Board created a website, and it's just an online forum that highlights key resources, building resources that are vital for chapter leaders to be successful in their chapters. So for example, the board members of the SAB in Houston post different blogs on there, and they're just like short descriptions of how to do blank. One of them is how to run a efficient social media. Another one could be how to log on to BBO. Another one could be fundraising. Different stuff that are vital resources for your chapter to be very successful, that not all chapters have the ability to attain those skills.
So if you're not super tech savvy and you can't create a website, something that you can utilize is social media. You can build an online forum for networking and announcements. Social media is a great way for leaders in your area to be informed of updated resources and events that you can post on your feed or your stories, anything like that, that you can link different things to. And it allows your SAB to highlight particular chapter activities and resources created by the board. And like I said, social media is a great tool, and different members of the SAB can like repost different things and get other leaders in their area engaged in the SAB. And there's just so many different tools that you can utilize with social media, especially Instagram.
Spirit nights or profit shares is another way of community engagement, and you're also raising money. So we recommend that SAB members are the organizers and hosting these events. You can have these across the state, across the city, and then the use of the funding raised should be determined by the staff liaison and the co-chairs. So if the funding is going just directly back to the state office, or if it's going towards just the funding raised would go towards like a budget for the SAB board, or if it'll go back to the chapters for for chapter resources. Example of partnerships that Best Buddies has is with like Mod, Cold Stone. We have a lot of other partnerships where you can start off looking at for profit shares. And then if you can't find one that Best Buddies already has a partnership with, look at local restaurants or fast food chains that usually do profit shares, and I'm sure that they would be more than happy to set that up. And then at the bottom of the screen, you can see there's a resource, bestbuddies.org/PBU. If you go to PBU's website, you scroll down, click on Chapter Toolkit, and then click on Fundraising, and there'll be some resources on different stuff that you'll need to know about before you set up a fundraiser or a spirit night.
So regarding different spirit nights and events, something that Houston did, which is super interesting because there's such a large area, they split their city into zones. So SAB members in each zone hosted events in their zone, but they were also encouraged to attend events in other zones. So it helped spread people out and group those people that are closer together, group them into a team, and they're able to host an event. And those people from other zones were able to go over there and see how different areas of their city worked. And it was just a great way to make sure that everyone was able to attend different events.
Ambassador trainings and statewide calls. These are also two great ways to put your SAB board members to the test on their leadership skills. We are always in the need to train new ambassadors. We're always wanting to increase the number of leaders we have in Best Buddies. So ambassador trainings are a great way to increase the leadership. We recommend SAB members or board members host online ambassador trainings, especially online right now. But once we get back to in-person, of course, and then host online ambassador socials. I know some states don't do it, but I know in Houston, they would host not only just the trainings, but they would also host socials for the ambassadors that were trained, almost kind of just like events. So they would have like a Halloween party or a Christmas party, and they'd watch a Netflix party online. Another great thing that your SAB board can do is conduct statewide calls. So specifically, more recently, it was very needed to know on how to navigate and lead in a pandemic that's very unprecedented. So chapter leaders need to learn how to do that, and SAB members can work collectively to come up with different ways to navigate through and creating a very successful chapter throughout this uncertain time. And then also another topic you could do is how to select a new officer corps for new chapter presidents that are unaware of selecting their next year's chapter officer corps. If you're interested in doing the hosting ambassador training, there's a resource. If you go to bestbuddies.org/BBU, you scroll down to ambassadors, you click on that. There's going to be a ton of resources, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to host the training, to scheduling, to putting it all together, and then what the ambassadors need to do in order to qualify as a trained ambassador.
Something that is also super important for a SAB board to do is to reach out to new schools and to open new chapters. The SAB should be a resource for these different schools. They can be, utilized great in different areas that haven't experienced Best Buddies before. This is a great way to utilize leaders to have them communicate with other people from different schools and to give them information about Best Buddies. We have this on the screen, how to get to how to start a chapter on BBU and those resources. But the SAB really needs to be utilized in those areas where Best Buddies isn't present, and they need to bring them to those areas.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and watching our presentation. And just to keep in mind that these are all just examples of what your board can do for outreach. These are not criterias. We want to make sure that's very clear, because we want to make sure that each board has a flexibility of attending to the needs of their own community, because the needs of the community in Houston, it could be very different than the needs in Illinois. So we want to have that flexibility there. And if you have any questions on any community outreach, please don't hesitate to reach out to the SAB initiative on the YLC by contacting us at ylc@bestbuddies.org. And thank you again for listening to myself, Garrett, and Maddie talk about community outreach.
Thank you.